Decision Diaries.
Welcome to Decision Diaries. Today on Decision Diaries, I am very excited that I have a unique decision that I don't think a lot of people have made or even understand how cool this is. So, I am talking today about deciding to be a member of I want to call it lion dance troupe, but I'm going to have them probably correct me on the official title and everything about this. I want to call it heritage dance and more so than that. So with me today, some people who I walked up to at the art walk in downtown Jacksonville and immediately knew I wanted them to come on Decision Diaries. Welcome Jason Chang and Josh Durham. Welcome to Decision Diaries.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
So I bet you can probably correct me on so many levels of how I describe this. So first of all, give us a little description of how you describe what we're about to talk about.
Yeah. So the way I like to introduce ourselves to other people is like I like to say that, hey, we're part of a Chinese lion dance group. But I also always have to clarify the lion part because it keeps sounding like country lion dancing. Like keep saying lion dancing, and people think, "Oh, that's really weird." In fact, I was just at a meeting the other day where I was trying to tell people like, "Hey, we do Chinese lion dance for recruiting," and they're like, "Oh, that sounds kind of cool." And I was like, "Yeah, it's like you don't need a rhythm to do it. You just need to show up as more of a workout because it's very martial based, like based in fighting and kung fu styles." And the girl looked at me, she's like very confused, like. Really? Like I didn't know that was the origin roots of line dancing. And then I realized halfway through the meeting, she's like, "Wait, did you mean lion? Like the animal lion roar, not the country lion?" It's like, "Yes." It's like, "Oh, that makes so much more sense." Because I thought you said that the line dancing, like country line dancing, was based in kung fu. It's like I was very confused. So I always have to
the boot scooting boogie with the boot scooting boogie with Chinese drums. Yeah, no.
Right. She's like, that's a very weird cultural, specific line of line dancing. But sure, I'd love to learn about it.
I think it'll make a great joke video one day.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great TikTok video. We could probably do one day as a meme.
Have the lion dance.
Yeah, you probably should. And I want to describe for people that I think a lot of people, when they see you at first, think that it's a dragon, and that was one of the first things that when I walked up you clarified with me. And as I describe this, it's like when you see a dragon, obviously there's a longer snout, and then with the lion there's a shorter snout, and when I watch the performance, it comes to life. It's really interesting how it has a personality, and the people underneath it, below it, give it such a personality. And at one point, the lion looks straight at you and meets the audience at face level, and you're like, you forget that there's people dancing underneath. You're having this interaction with the lion. So I mean, I'm so curious how the background of this, and then of course how you got into it, and from there. So give us some historical background so we all kind of have an idea.
I'll take this one because I actually did some research for this for a presentation we did for one of the was a Hmong group that we did a performance for. So lion dance, Chinese lion dance. It's a ancient cultural type dance that started way before, a long time ago. So I think the origins, you can trace it back to during the Persian Empire time. There's rumors or legends that says that Persian traders during the Silk Road, and we're talking about during the times of the Great Roman Empire. So this is how far we're going back in the BC time. When the Persian Empire was trading with ancient China back in the day, they brought lions, and then because it was such a very rare commodity that only the emperors of China would see them, the description of them kind of passed down. And there's I can spend almost a whole hour just talking about the legend and the history of the Chinese lion dance, but we can trace the origins from that time period and during the Parthenon Empire, the Persian Empire, in the times of the Great Roman Empire time period, and then of course it had several bookmarks and benchmarks of when it got more popular, when it got more acceptable by people, so all the way to modern day. Now, I believe the modern concept of what lion dance is for us today stems more from like kind of it got a lot more popularized during the oh man when did it get popularized? It was like I want to say during like the last Qing dynasty when it became like much more popular with all the kung fu schools. It almost had almost a negative connotation to it too, at some points too as well.
Really?
Kung fu at one point was seen more as a gang activity, like an excuse for gangs to operate, to learn how to fight and to fight each other. And lion dancing was also used as a cover to like cover up some of the dancing. And there was a lot of stigma that had to be broken, even through the 80s, I believe, until that was like fully broken out, where Hong Kong cinema became more popular in America, or I think mostly because thanks to the rise of Bruce Lee, honestly.
Right.
But I mean, they were making headways into that. But then finally, we were able to break out of all that stigma. And now lion dance has become back to the beloved culture dance that we all know today. That you saw personally firsthand over there. So
you see during the Qing dynasty that the lion often represented the government, and they'd actually attack and kill the lion.
It was like a form of secret protest.
Oh, really? Is that also why as I describe this, I think everybody needs to understand, does the lion is a lion always two people? The performance I saw, there were two people, so the length of the lion is more lion like, as opposed to what I think people kind of think of is those long dragons they normally see, right? So the lion's shorter. So you had two people, and then you had this person walking around with the mask that I couldn't tell. Obviously, it's a regular person. It's not like a king or a queen or anything like that. It's a regular what seems to be sort of maybe a farmer or something. And I was trying to figure out the relationship between that person and the lion. Are you saying that person was anti-lion, like wanting to get the lion with the government, or I felt like they were somewhat at peace
That was
when I saw that performance.
That example is a monk, just a young monk.
Oh, a monk.
Sometimes people that watch it will call him a Buddha, but it's just a monk guiding the lion, keeping him under control. And then sometimes the lion gets lost in a crowd moving around, and the monk, better vision, can come over. He comes across, you saw him waving the fan everywhere. He'll wave under the lion's head and give the team an idea which direction to go.
Oh, that's interesting. That was so seamlessly done that I thought it was all choreographed, but I could see where the lion would kind of get turned around, and so that was really interesting.
So for the line that you saw at Art Walk, half of it was choreographed, the other half was kind of ad-libbed. And so the monk character that you saw, you can tell he's a monk. He's got the shaved head, and he's kind of like chubby cheeks and all that, wearing like traditional like monk type style robes. But of course, if you were not too familiar with the culture, then it's a little bit hard to distinguish that. But the other part of it was that they would actually so the part of this ad-lib, that the monk actually plays a secondary role of crowd control and also crowd redirection if the line was like missing something, because it's very custom. He's bringing on the monk mask now.
And then the blue hair, the blue hair,
like kind of like his skin, like like his he's very pale skin, so kind of bluish color type.
A bluish. Okay.
So big chubby cheeks there. And
and the big, very chubby cheeks. I also want to mention a happy monk. I mean, not that all.
Yes.
I think all monks seem like they're happy, but just so everyone knows, there's always that one picture of like, like a grumpy monk. This
Right.
is not a grumpy monk. This is a
Something
happy
about letting go of
Yes.
earthly possessions allows you to be happier,
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
that and monks have developed a lot of spirits over the years.
correct. Yeah,
So
right.
I
Exactly.
imagine they're always pretty happy. So okay, so I mean, all of uh this heritage that we're fortunate enough that we have somebody like you guys who bring that to our local community. And you know and then you go to some of these art walks. I understand that you also you're available for events and those type of things. But what is it that you guys when did you guys meet each other, discover this, and decide that our community um that you wanted to go down this path of being the representatives of this heritage?
I will let Steve with Josh here start first because my story's a little
Okay.
long-winded.
My
but-
story goes back a little ways too.
Okay, well, I'll let
Yeah.
the elder go first.
So I started training Chinese martial arts about 23 years old, and I trained with the Sifu out in Fleming Island, Cam Lee. He taught me
Okay.
Wusu Chen, and within about a year, he talked me into doing lion for a demonstration for the World of Nations. And so that was when I was 24. I'm about 51 now, by the way.
Oh wow, I didn't know you were 24 and you're learning with Sifu Lee. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we get to our 50s faster than you would think. Yeah, I'm with you. I was just 24 yesterday, so welcome to 50 with me. 24 yesterday, so yeah, and I'm still recalling those decisions from 24. So yeah, so good decision there.
And so I kept doing lion with Sifu Lee for years, into my 30s, and then eventually it's just a little bit too hard on your body. You may not have seen a lot of tricks at the art walk, but you'll see the head leap high enough and the tail will lift it all the way on top of their head. They'll sit on the head.
Wow.
And so they're usually about 9 feet off the ground,
Give or take, depending on how
Give or
tall
take.
the tail person is. Yeah.
So eventually the older guys, we started teaching or playing the drums.
Yeah.
Playing music,
Yeah.
playing the monk. We kept going on, and then I would say maybe 10 years ago, we were at a dragon boat festival, the Landing. And we
Yeah.
were performing a line dance there,
When the landing was still there.
and when the Landing was still there.
Yeah.
And that's where I met
Yeah.
Jason. Jason came out there to watch the lion dance, and we started talking there. He started giving us his background, and we're like, man, come on out there. And then some just weird transition from there, and some connections that we didn't know existed. But I'll let Jason take over from there.
Yeah. So, how I got involved with lion dance is actually kind of almost like the same origin point, really, with Sifu Josh here. Was actually Sifu Lee was a personal friend to my family. He was involved. He was friends with my dad before I was even born. So over the years, I saw Sifu Lee do his like lion dance stuff for World Nations here and there. I didn't remember meeting Josh until that Dragon Boat Festival we had here at the Landing was back in 2015 or something like that. And I remember Sifu Lee teaching me like one beat on the drums, and for some reason I kept that memory to me all the way until I went to college. I went to Florida State University, and
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I went to University of Florida. Sorry, I had to.
Oh
I had to
no!
interrupt there and give you a little bit of a hard
Okay,
time.
sorry. We can't associate anymore.
That's okay. That's okay.
So, and Chinese culture for me has been very, very important. I've not always. Well, no, I mean technically always. I've always had this trouble identifying with my identity, I guess. Whether I was Chinese born, am I American born? I got made fun a lot for my heritage when I was a child, like most kids would do. They do the insensitive Asian jokes and all that stuff, and the squinty eyes and the off-brand Chinese attempt of mockery there. And I remember coming home and crying about it all the time. And always wanting to be more American or be like the rest of the kids. And then so there's always been a constant back and forth struggle with this. And then it got to the point where I wanted to embrace my culture and celebrate that, and I would find different ways to do so. Sometimes with like doing Chinese yo-yo when I was in middle school because I was easy to take to and from school, easy to put in my backpack, all that stuff. And then I just always been a vocal person about celebrating my culture, celebrating my identity as both Chinese and both American. So when I finally went to college, that was seen at the Asian American Student Union there, and the director, the chairman of that organization at the time, saw how vocal I was about my culture, and he actually liked the concept of a Chinese lion dance team started at FSU, and he was the first guy to approach me and say, "Hey, you like Chinese culture? You're very into like, do you know anything about lion dance? Do you want to run it?" I was like, "Hell yeah, I want to run this like this troop. Like, absolutely, I'll run it 100%." And then he's like, "All right, cool. We got the money. I worked out a lot of kinks out with the student government. We got the funding for it, so we're good to go. Like, whenever you're ready to start, Like, great. This is an honor. Great, awesome." Hang on the phone. It's like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never done line dance in my entire life. And the friend of mine who was sitting next to me, my good friend Quan Lun, he heard the conversation. Like, what was that about? I was like, the director Andy just asked if I wanted to run a line dance, and I don't know how to run line. I've never done line dance. It's like, well, I do. I've been doing it since I was a kid. I was like, great. You want to run it with me? It's like, no, but I will train it, and you just run it. I'm like, great. So that started my love for line dance, and I got really involved in it. And when I graduated college, I moved back to Jacksonville, and I heard there was a Dragon Boat Festival, and then I heard there was Sifu Lee that was performing out there with his academy, and I was like, well, great, this is great. I can continue my line dance training from there back with an old family friend. That's also where I met Chief Josh at this point, and started from there. And then I got involved with the organization here in the United States called the United States Dragon and Lion Dance Federation. They held their first national competition in Boston, and then I believe that was the first ever competition held in the United States for lion dance, specifically lion and dragon dance. And going to that competition changed my life, and I was open to the world of Chinese lion dance, all the different styles, all the different ways to do it. And I met a lot of great people. And when I came back to Jacksonville again after that competition, that's where I want to.
That's funny you should say that.
What year was that? What year did you?
That was, oh man, I don't want to get this year wrong. I think it was 2016.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. So fairly recent, somewhat recent, right? Okay. Yeah. Oh, so back to you, Josh. What were you going to say?
Jason brought up that there's so many different ways to do the lion, and there's so many types of lions.
Yeah.
Type that you saw out at the art walk, that's a footsan lion. Certain characteristics. And then you have another type that's called hawksan. Looks very similar, but with a curved, almost like a duckbill. And those are two of the major southern type lions. And there's a lion that looks like a giant shield with teeth coming out of it, and just savage. That's the five ancestors. Cam Lee taught us that one, and that would be a green lion, and that represented the Qing government, like I was talking about earlier, and they always fight that lion. And then there's northern lions that are.
They look more like puppy dogs almost.
They look like puppy dogs, and they're wood. So it's a different type of mechanics. Yes.
Yeah, and their design is completely different. You can easily tell the difference between the two. Even though they all may look similar, but you can tell there's a distinct change of design, including the shield line that he was talking about too. So,
and the whole there's a Hokkien one that looks like the northern lion, but it's bigger.
Oh yes, yeah.
And then there's unicorns.
Unicorns?
The Kirin, the Hakka Chinese do unicorn. Totally different animal as well. They'll all get mistaken for each other.
And then you don't know you're about to step into a whole different.
Oh yeah. Well, this is what I love, because when I started looking it up, I did see that there were North and South lions. I did see that there were all these different colors. So just to kind of hear what you're saying. Green lion, government, right? That's easy to remember. Maybe green lion.
Qing colors were green.
Okay.
Qing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
For
that
your listeners, Qing Dynasty was started around like before the American Revolution till modern days, pretty much. I think the last Qing Dynasty fell in the 1900s or so. And so that lasted for quite a while.
Qing Dynasty is more of an occupation.
Yeah.
They weren't Chinese.
There's a whole history associated with that. Yep. But I think the whole history of America could be traced to this one dynasty in China. So that's how long ago we were talking about.
So your group, and also here's the thing. This is a studio. This is a group that you both have formed together, and you're still building upon.
I forgot the original question. Yeah, so that's our individual paths of lion dance. So how we come to love it, but because Josh and I were learning under Sifu Lee, that's how we met together. And then when Josh started to go off on his own and create his own school, he wanted to have his own lion dance, and I at the time was also ready to branch out and start my own thing and really dive into it, so that he and I came together and said, well, why don't we start a team together? And so this was our first year coming together, forming this team, and he had a few students under his belt that come help, and then I basically went to all my friends who saw me do lion dance over the years, and I said, hey, if you want to still be my friend, you're gonna join my group and learn how to do this with me, because we need people. And if you don't do it, then you're not my friend anymore.
I did the same thing.
I love it. That's the way to go about it. I mean, that's what I felt like when I started my podcast. I was like, you're coming on my podcast. I'm shy. I'm like, well, I don't care. That's happening.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's how we test friendship.
Started. Yeah, I mean, you share your passions with your friends. That's how you get things started, and then you find the people that gravitate to you. Now, so you guys have been collaborating together. Did you just say this year?
Pretty much, yeah.
This is actually we're almost at our anniversary.
Yeah, we're actually coming up to our anniversary. So,
that's exciting.
I mean, we've known each other for several years at this point, but I think we really said like, let's do this together. Let's buy the equipment. Let's get the stuff going. Let's go out, recruit some people, and I believe we had our first meeting in July of last year. So yeah, our anniversary is coming up to a whole year now. So
one of the things we wanted to do is push the limit. We've already seen lion teams in Jacksonville, and we didn't want that. We wanted to pass the standard, and so we're constantly pushing our team. I mean, they push themselves.
Yeah.
And they pulled off some amazing stuff.
You mentioned that competition in Boston. Are you guys regular competitors in local and national competitions for this?
Well, so we just started, so not quite.
Am I putting too much pressure on you? Okay.
No, that's our goal. It's fine, because the people who I met at this competition have been pressuring me ever since they heard me start this lion dance. It was like, oh, when you compete? I'm like, guys, we literally just started. Like, we need to learn the basics first, and if we try to go compete with you guys now, we're just gonna get creamed. And that's what we mean by pushing the standard, the limit here, because when I saw what these people can do at these competitions, even the last ranked team, what they did was incredible stuff that I've never got to see with my own eyes before. And to know that that's the level that we need to get to. And so far, I haven't seen that in any groups that I've been a part of in my life so far. So it's like, we need to get to that level and then go beyond that too as well. And starting our own thing.
Can you describe one of those things? Like, what is it that you saw them do? Like, do they? I'm imagining. I mean, I think I have seen some incredible acrobatics over the years, and some celebrations of the Chinese New Year where they get very sophisticated. So, what did you see that you think to yourself, "That's where I want to go"?
So Josh briefly said posts. There's a version of lion dance where that requires a lot of acrobatics and a lot of precision, because these lions would get on these giant
like telephone pole,
yeah, like, and they would just kind of jump around on top of the poles and do like jumps and acrobatic stands on each other and making these death-defying leaps. And if you mess up, you can really injured yourself. But at the competition itself, the first one didn't have a lot of those. In fact, that one was supposed to have 2 teams compete, but they had a technical difficulty and wasn't able to do it safely, so they had to cancel it. But the stuff that I saw was stuff that any team can do, especially us, and they had just had a brilliant way of telling a story. They had a lot more acrobatic tricks that they could do using more props. All of this requires a lot of teamwork, a lot of team precision, trusting each other, and without constant practice, you could never get to that point. So we tried to strive for that. And of course, our first year is learning a lot of the basics, and what you saw is hopefully will be the start of something and not the standard of what you're going to see in the future. So by future performances, we should see more and more things being added to it, a little bit more dynamic stuff. I mean, like what you said earlier about, at one point you saw one of the lines like "look at you," and you kind of forget that there are people in it. It's our dancers who are in the suits. They're making this magic happen, and that you can't just do that just by, not practicing. Just come up and show up and putting the suit on, and you can't make that happen. There's a lot of work behind the scenes and a lot of hard work that our dancers have done. And we're immensely proud of our students that can do it. And it's
absolutely definitely proud of all our performers,
especially for our first year.
I had, you could have fooled me because it looked, I don't know, I think what people don't understand is we are talking about the person who's in the lion has to dance and operate expressions, right? And then just the slight tilt of the head from side to side is kind of doing an expression, and the person in the monk, and then the person in the back has to remain in some position that you're not focused on just the person in the back, that it flows and they're flowing. And if they go in an opposite, anybody who's ever been in a costume where you've been the back person, okay. And I've been that caboose person. And if you're not in sync with the person in front of you, it's a disaster. And one of my favorite things to dress up in is one of those inflatable dinosaurs. And that's where the monk is essential, because you don't always know where you are, and you want to have an interaction with the audience. But you have to know your position as to where you are. Otherwise, you could literally run into them, or you could bump them in the face, or you could move your head the opposite way and convey something completely different than what you were trying to do. So it looked seamless to me. And then the drumming that goes along with it was interesting to me. I'm sure there's a lot that's going on there. So tell me a little bit more about how many people does this take? I mean, what is your goal of how many people ideally you'd like to have? And then what is one of the stories that you think everybody should kind of get with a takeaway? Like, what if you had all the people you needed, what story is like the one that you guys think we'd go to competition with this story?
Well, to answer that last question first, our stories can be what it would change all the time. We can just base it off on any events in history or fantasy elements, current events, even if we wanted to, pop culture. That's what you're asking, like what type of story we would try to go out and compete with. So
the story almost always has to do with the Chang.
Right. So
some sort of prize.
Yeah.
Some sort of prize?
So the spirit of lion dance, right? So
right.
To understand the why we do lion dance, why it's such a culturally what's the word I'm looking for? Culturally important, significant. There we go. So there you go. Culturally significant to a lot of Chinese cultures. Lion dances, especially these days, are used kind of like a tool to bless, right? So, kind of like, I don't want to like parallels to like staging your house, but it's kind of like doing that, right? So the lion is meant to scare evil spirits away. Why, you don't like the sage parallel?
It's like Chinese essential oils. Essential oils.
Except it comes with a crew.
We're slightly inappropriate on this podcast. It's okay. It's okay. We somehow mixed massage oils in there. Okay.
I actually
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying that it's spiritual.
Yes, spiritual. I do want to double back on some of the history here real quick, because I think it was important to understand the essence of lion dance. So there is a very popular folklore mythology to lion dance, right? There's two versions of it. I don't like the second version because it involves the lion being destructive and naughty and just being a nuisance. And then that's why the monk had to come down and tame it. I don't like that story because I feel like that doesn't really fit with the lion narrative that these people are trying to convey today. So the story that I like to tell the most, and the one that that some other people will agree with, it'd be that a village in China was terrorized by evil spirits and demons, and that they pleaded to heavens to like send somebody to help. So a monk said, "All right, cool, bet. Let me go up to the mountains here. Let me talk to the gods, to the heavens, and say, hey, the people need help. Send us your a guardian." And so the heavens answered to say, "All right, here's a lion. He was come down from the heavens, and then he will protect the people." So the lions would come around, cleanse the village of all the demons and all the evil spirits. And then and when the evil spirits ran away, the lion said, "Okay, job's done. See you later. Going back to heaven." And the people were like, "Well, what happens when they come back next year?" So this is where Chinese New Year becomes into play, right? Why lion dance is so important for Chinese New Year is that in order to replicate the same effect that the Lion Guardian did, they created a copy of what they saw in the lion, which is where the lion dance costume comes from. Noise. So drums, cymbals, gongs, firecrackers. We didn't do firecrackers at Art Walk because the city ordinances was a little bit rough on us. So it was like, all right, no firecrackers.
Yeah. I was gonna say I imagine seeing fireworks with that
Chinatowns in Boston and Chicago and New York City, they will all have like firecrackers be everywhere. It just sound like a war zone at that point. But the whole point is to create all this noise and wear red and be bright and vibrant and festival, and then that way it would just, the evil spirit was like, "Nah, I'm cool. I'm not gonna go into that village anymore. That's too protected here." Yep. And so as a blessing, the lion dance tries to replicate that with the loud music, with the drums, the cymbals, the gongs, the big acrobatic stances and all, to make themselves look bigger and ferocity. Just kind of comes out with our lion dance. That's what we try to do. Right, I mean,
which is where the
Josh, you have anything to add to that? It sounds like you had some more history you wanted to add to that.
Not necessarily history, but the traditional practitioners were almost always kung fu students.
Okay.
Almost any lion team, there's a few exceptions, but throughout history, it was always a kung fu school performing lion.
Okay.
They have already trained for these weird postures, strong legs, strong body. It's the CrossFit of the day. I mean, I think
pretty much.
We got some CrossFit participants come out to train with us. They'd love it. It's the same thing.
Strength and a cardio all in one. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. And, and karate sometimes a little bit, or kung fu, I want to say there's some acrobatics. I mean, Bruce Lee, of course, showed all the facets of acrobatics, stamina,
martial arts,
strength. I mean, in general, martial arts in general. My son does jiu-jitsu and they're always on the ground. I really like the ones that are kind of off the ground and in the air. But that makes sense. The story, I think, is beautiful. I think it's like renewal, and I am surprised that you are not booked all the time for every New Year. We just, unfortunately, I didn't get you on in time for May, which is your Heritage Month, I would imagine. But I would think that you were pretty booked in May. which
We did
is
well in
maybe
May,
why
and
we
we
didn't
did
line
well in
up,
New
right?
Year's.
Yeah, we did all
Yeah,
right. I mean, we have to remember we're just a year old at this point. So
right.
we just reached.
And
We're about to reach 1 year. So
we've made our name in the Chinese community, the Taiwanese community.
Yeah,
they all know us. We went to a restaurant a couple weeks ago and went to drop a flyer, and they already know who we were.
yeah. So our name is getting around there. So we're going to hopefully be a lot more booked, which comes into our next part where we need more people because having the same old dancers dance over and over again, they get pretty tired pretty quickly. Especially like back-to-back performances. They're like, can we not just do the one? I'm like, look, we have to do it.
Right,
At
right.
the art walk, I think we had 4 people do the lion.
Yes.
There's 2 separate teams did the lion that night.
Right. So answer your other question you asked, like how many people does it take to run a lion dance group? Well, you
So the lion, 2 for the lion,
2 for the lion, and at least 1 person for the drum. So
Right.
that's like bare bones skeleton crew. That's all you really need to start one. But you won't get the same level of like intensity, right?
Need somebody on gong, a couple people on cymbals.
Yeah, to get the clang.
A Buddha out there.
Yeah. So ideally, we would like to get 2 for each line that we have out there. 1 person for the monk role or for like kind of the crowd control role. 1 person on drums, 2 to 3 people on cymbals or more. At least 1 person on gong. So that's what 1, 2, 5 on instruments, 3 on the field. 8. Yeah, so about 8 people would be the ideal number, but it can go much bigger than that. We've seen other schools that had 5 to 6 lines
out going at once.
Wow. How many actual lions do you guys own at this point?
At this point, we technically own 1.5.
Okay. Talk to me about that half. You own the front half, the back half.
The front half.
What's going on with the half?
It's we have 1 head we just use for training. He's had a little bit of abuse over the years.
Right.
And then we could actually say 2 at that case because we've got 1 being custom made for us. So that'd be the other half. That's going to take a while to get here.
That's coming, yeah. We the 1 head that we used for training was actually a Goodwill find from one of our dancers, one of our members. She was able to find she thrift hunts a lot, and then even online, and she found one. It was a used lion head that's seen better days for sure, and we were able to purchase it and we use it for reference points. And so that's what we consider our half. We don't actually perform with it. I guess it's missing his whole body. All we have is just the head. There's no.
We brought it out to the show. You probably saw it. It was a green and red color, but we let everybody play with that one.
Yeah, that's the one we let the crowd touch because we're not afraid of that breaking because it's pretty much broken already. But it kind of gives insight for people who like really want to explore, really look into it, and then we feel a little more comfortable letting people kind of play with that one more, especially the kids. And the kids love seeing it and putting it on. If we can get them to stop being scared of it, because
we did.
Well, it was interesting because when the lion came up to this one little girl, her eyes got really bright, and then she was kind of reaching out like she wanted to pet the lion, and the mom was like, don't touch it, because weird thing is it does look very fragile. It does look like it's covered with some things that, like, if you put it in your car the wrong way and put a seatbelt on it, like it kind of in a way looks like it's kind of fragile, which I think to me sort of adds to the mystique of it all. And maybe it's a big wooden head. I don't know. I should have gone up there and looked inside because now I'm curious. But if you, oh, there it is. Oh my. Oh, I want a picture of that.
There we go.
So he's putting it on right now for everyone who cannot see, because we're not doing I'm tempted to post this video. That is awesome. I will take
you should, yeah. Be like,
oh my gosh, look at you.
So we can work the eyes. If you notice the ears wag when we're waking the eyes, you could do one eye.
Yeah.
Just waking here.
Okay.
Here. Sometimes we just play with people. You see it try to bite you.
Yeah.
Inside of it.
Yeah, the inside of it, it's both strong and fragile at the same time. It's kind of like the parallel to the human body, right? Like
there's
yeah, and what is it made out of? Is that paper mache? Is that
partially,
yeah, good
paper
eye.
mache, partially PVC, and a lot of rattan.
So the skeletal structure form is made out of a bunch of like rattan wood. You can see kind of like crisscrossing patterns here, like reinforces the whole structure.
Okay.
And then the paper mache is laid over it.
And this string here hangs, and that's what we're pulling to. Oops, let's get that.
Oh,
I'm so bad at
that is so interesting.
There we go.
Yeah, that is so interesting. Now, can you guys make these yourself, or do you order them from someplace else? Is there like a company that specializes in making very sophisticated lions?
So I wouldn't say company. I would say companies that have access to people who actually make these in China or in Malaysia or those prevalent areas. Could we make our own? I mean, sure, we could.
It's a lot. It's time consuming.
It's very tight. I don't know about my creative ability to do so.
As we spoke and having ours made, just these here are made by a whole other company, and it's not even a big company. It's a family group.
Yeah,
just makes pom poms for lions.
Oh wow, yeah. So there's a lot of parts and pieces,
and just regular construction.
Yeah, it's just kind of like how anybody would cosplay. I mean, they could probably easily do this type of stuff too as well. I'm just not that creative in terms of like working with arts and craft like that. That's a lot of work, but there are ways that you can order it. Most of them are going to be based in China. There's some companies here or websites or private groups you could contact here in the United States that would broker a design for you for people overseas to do it. And
there's a lot of work once you get the lion.
Yeah,
we actually have to do a ceremony to wake the lion itself to bring the spirit.
Interesting. Tell me about that. I mean, I love all these. I love traditions, and I love that when you got to, unfortunately, FSU, but good for FSU that you got there and you joined to bring out your ancestry. I mean, I'm Italian. I'm just saying, I'm Italian. I never lose being Italian, and so I love the traditions, and I try to keep them going. I think it's really important, and even and then you add that on top of American tradition, so you get 2 New Years, right? Do you still celebrate Chinese New Year?
Oh yeah. I celebrate Chinese New Year for sure.
Okay.
In fact, I tell people Chinese New Year is basically the combination of Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's all in one. And then, a
couple weeks long.
Yeah. So if you ever try to order anything from like a Chinese like company like online and they won't deliver for another 2 weeks, that's probably why. It's usually in the months of like February or January that they'll complete the whole country was shut down pretty much, and everybody just go celebrate for 2 weeks straight, just party hard.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
Chinese
now, does your group, do you continue those traditions among your group of dancers? Do you guys have a big 100%. Celebration?
Team celebration. Mm-hmm. We're trying to eventually do a bigger celebration with the city. That's our goal. I know Jason's got a huge dream of this one to be.
Yeah. I think one of my my dreams and ambitions for our group eventually to spearhead an initiative that I've been trying to start since I was a kid. But I kind of want to create like kind of I've always wanted to create like a prom for adults, like a ball, like create a ball for the city of Jacksonville. And then I thought about, well, why don't I just combine that with the idea of the spring festival, the Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year thing, and then create this giant spring festival ball that we could do. And then our lion dance would be the spearhead for this type of ordeal. And I'm working with several groups right now to kind of introduce the ideal of it. But yeah, hopefully we're going to make this a huge thing in Jacksonville if we can. And that's the dream.
Well, I support that. I mean, yeah. Dress up. I mean, I think several people would be, really interested in that. So I'm glad you put that out there to the universe. You don't know who someone knows. And
Correct.
as you know, as we share
Rich
this podcast out
benefactors.
there, you heard here, this is what we need.
Yeah.
We need this group to have a couple more lions. So anybody who wants to purchase some lions for this group, join this group and participate in it, and then encourage you for that ball. I really think that ball is a really good idea.
I think it'd be great for the city to have some type of event to kind of unite together and spread Asian awareness, cultures, and stuff like that. And just this is overall good time for a pretty good reason to do so. Um, that's just one of my dreams and ambitions I hope to accomplish. And lion dance is one way we can try to get that accomplished. And yeah, so I hope people who are out there listening to this, we could use all the help we can get in any way, fashion, or form. But yeah, I mean, like lions has been a huge thing, Chinese, culture for me to broadcast my culture, celebrate my culture, and that's the coolest things that I can say. Hey, look, this is one of the main things that I can do, and that the Chinese people can offer. Like, how cool is that? And people say, oh yeah, it's really cool. It's usually a nice crowd stopper. I mean, like you saw firsthand that once we started doing our thing, the crowd pretty much at that point stopped and just had to watch, and phones came out and pictures were being taken, videos were being taken. Like it was a very cool feeling.
Yeah, and I don't feel like, you have to wait for like a World of Nations or anything like that. I mean, the Lion Dance itself is an event happening, right?
Mhm.
It's an interesting event, and I love that there's a competition, and especially in Boston. I could imagine that was pretty. There's always someone always adds a competitive level to these things,
Oh yeah, and
but
that
I will tell you that, just kind of dancing in my past life, and then, now being in my 50s, it's like, let's encourage more people to incorporate more dance and learning about something that is slightly different. Like it's a different twist on dance, and it's a different twist on, like you mentioned, like CrossFit people would be really good at this. You've also got the martial arts component of this. I mean, this is just a combination of a lot of cool things. So, so I
and
am surprised. Wait, where are you guys located? So, where are you guys located so that people know where they would need to go to join and to practice?
so we don't have a brick and mortar place just yet. What we
Oh,
do is
okay.
we meet at a public park. It's at Ed Austin Regional Park over here on the East Ellington side of town. We
Oh,
usually
okay.
meet by the playground over here every Sunday from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. But that, of course, that schedule would change, or rather, the location could change based on weather, because it's outdoors, and we're at kind of the mercy of Florida weather. Rain can come at any point where it gets too hot that we may have to move it to another location. And so we often encourage people to contact us first, email us, or call us on our phones. That we supply on our flyers and everything we have out there, to kind of see where we are exactly on that day. But we do try to meet every single Sundays. I think we only cancel maybe one or two practices throughout the whole year, for different
Father's
reasons.
Day,
Father's Day, like
Easter.
major holidays, that happens to be on the same Sunday. We'll try to accommodate our members to kind of do their things with the families, because family life is important for us all. We want to advocate for that too as well. So, but for the most part, rain or shine, we usually will practice every Sunday 2 to 5, and hopefully without being exposed to the elements. So, but, our location could change at any point.
We haven't worried too much about a brick and mortar location because we are not really doing this for profit, but more to share the culture, and anything the team makes is going right back into the lion, get more gear, more lions, and to feed the team. They eat a lot.
Yeah, feed the team.
Oh,
That must
yeah,
be
the
our
feed the team.
purpose.
Yeah, you get hungry when you're when you're pretending to be a lion. No,
Yes,
I'm with you. So, do you have a Facebook group? Do you
yes.
have a okay?
We
Well,
have.
give me all of your socials, since we're on the topic, so that we make sure we let everybody know where to find you.
So we're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and I think we even started a TikTok channel as well. They're all under the same moniker of First Coast Lion Dance.
Okay.
or FCLTT, depending on where it is. But mostly they should have our name, First Coast Lion Dance Troupe, um, as our tagline, especially on Facebook and Instagram. Um, and that's where most of our contact information would be found too as well.
Okay. And then what is the next event coming up that if somebody wanted to first check you out before they decided to join your group, where would they find you?
I think we're pretty much done for events at this time. If we do have any more events come up, it'll probably be for private bookings, like for weddings and all that.
Weddings, and then September for the Autumn Festival.
Oh yes, the Mid Autumn Festival will be coming about. I'm not sure if we have a client. Do we have a client lined up for that yet, or
not yet? And the most likely the next one will be at Mayo Clinic. Hopefully, they've been reached out to us, and we're hoping to perform for them. We performed for one department at the TPC for Mayo Clinic 2 weeks ago.
I think it was about 2 weeks ago. Yeah, those are the Mayo Clinic GI and hepatology departments had a little summer picnic, and they had us come out and perform for them.
Oh, that's great.
It was
I didn't even think about the whole corporate sponsorships and all the things. I mean, now I'm just like I'm all in. I mean, you guys have invited me in, and I'm like, oh, these are all these things. I'm really thinking about all these ways. I'm surprised that you're not completely booked up. I'm hoping that I can help you get fully booked, but not burn out. That's important.
I know there's also a push that, by the way, that competition in Boston travels every year or travels because they have 3 competitions so far. They've been in Boston, Madison, Wisconsin, and Austin, Texas. I'm trying to find a way if I can bring it here to Jacksonville as well and really open that up to the public as well so they can see what lion dance is all about. So that's another ambition project we're trying to do as well.
And now let me ask you this, because you've already talked about, I mean, you guys are clearly passionate, which I love, but I imagine, are you guys working as well as doing this, or are you guys doing this full time?
He's working.
Okay.
I'm retired military.
Oh, well, thank you for your service. So yeah, we could talk about that.
And I actually teach Kung Fu on the base in Mayport.
Okay.
And that's my other job. And I teach privately.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's starting his Kung Fu school side too as well. And that's what we're working to start for him next, is to have his own, area of practice. I guess that'd be our next brick and mortar, be his school.
Yeah. But you are working full time. So it sounds like, this is a passion project that you fit in with, as we all know, a lot of us have to work. I still work during the daytime and do my podcast off hours. So I definitely get it. So we've covered so much, but if you just met somebody, and you had to tell them, these are the benefits that you're going to get from joining my lion dance troupe, what would those be? What are the benefits?
This is kind of a toss-up. You're going to see improvement in overall strength, flexibility, limberness. I've actually seen one of our team members' personality completely flip-flop. Very confident now, very open, was kind of mousy before, and now is just kind of assertive. That's just becoming bossy.
I want to say flip flop. I think do 180 would be a little bit a better term. A transformation. That you went through a transformation. Yeah, transformation.
Definitely the physical attributes you can see right away. The strength and then mental of being able to push through any lion dance. My son told me his first lion dance, as soon as the music played and he was the tail, his legs burned out. He said he couldn't feel his legs. He got just so nervous in the crowd that after doing it a few times, now he's just happy as can be. But it's brings a little bit of a mental game into it.
And I do want to stress too, like when people hear like, oh, like everybody should join lion dance. I mean, people, I hear the most um, uh, common misconceptions, I guess you could say, or fears or insecurities. Like, well, I don't know how to dance, or rhythm is very bad for me. I can't play a rhythm. I'm so bad with rhythm, and I got 2 left feet. Blah, blah blah. I was like, lion dance, whether you do the dance part or the instrument part. I mean, the dance part kind of like implies there's a lot of like rhythmic movements, like salsa dancing or anything like that, but it's a lot more martial, a lot more of a workout type of style of physical activity. So anybody who's never done it before, who's never danced before in their lives, could easily pick the sport up and learn how to do that, because it's all about more about power moves, strength training type of thing. And then on the instrument side too, rhythm is something that I didn't have rhythm when I first started, and I still picked up the drum and I just made noise. And I was like, okay, cool. So like, the way I like to teach, like, lion dance instruments is to be like, this is more about invoking an emotion while being in pace with what the line is doing. So kind of like how a silent film works back in the day, where it was the music in the background playing the moves and the atmosphere or what the actors are doing. Like the actors are more physical movements, right? To express what they're trying to do, to move the story forward. And then once in a while, a text page would come up and say, explain this, whatever. But then it was the movement of the actors and the music behind it that created a story, a comprehensible story that you could pick up. That's what lion dance is. And that it's just more about accentuating movements to tell a story while the music propels that story forward. So anybody can pick this up. If you've never had any experience with either side before, we can teach you that. That's no problem, and you'll pick it up, and then you'll have this new skill set that you never thought you could have, and you'll be pretty good at it. And the instrument side too. What's cool about the instrument side, that there's no limit on ages for that. You could be as old as 100 years old or as young as 10 plus, and you could pick up instruments because it's less physically demanding, but just as fun and a very vital part of the dance. And if you really wanted to go out there and you get your workout on, then line is for you. But whether it's tail or head, head has the most fun. Tail is a lot more strength based because they have to be bent over the whole time, and so they really work on the back muscles. They get really strong. They got to lift up the head. So there's a lot of opportunities here to, work on fitness would be a great thing, but also just be part of something culturally significant to a big portion of our population, and then just be part of something really awesome.
Sharing with the crowd, the feeling you get after sharing something like this with the crowd. Typically, the crowd comes back and wants to talk to everybody, amazed by what they just did.
And it's also not limited to just Chinese people. People say, "Well, I'm not Chinese either." I'm the only Chinese person here on this team. There are no other Chinese people. I mean, granted, if there are other Chinese people who want to join, please, I would like to welcome more Chinese, more of my, my fellow countrymen into the sport. But most of our team are a mixed bag of different races. You don't have to be Chinese to do it. We can still do the same thing to strive for the same goal, and it's open to everybody. I mean, we don't have to do just Chinese festivals, Chinese businesses, or weddings. It's open to everybody. It's a blessing ceremony, so you can be used.
If we look at the list of events we've done this year, just diversity wise, Jay brought up a mother's group. We went to somebody's house, and all the moms got together with their kids. It was a
St. John's Moms group. Yeah.
There. Oh yeah.
We've gone to daycares, schools.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, Mayo.
Yeah, Mayo.
The art walk, sip and stroll.
Art walk, sip and stroll.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and not only that, but I'm glad that you described the story that you prefer, and that the lion sort of takes away any sort of bad things that are happening, and then you get this renewal. And so, anyone who I don't know, anybody who is always looking for that, the sun is going to rise tomorrow. It's a brand new day. I think this really resonates with them. Anybody who is shy, the benefit of this one, as opposed to other dance type things, is you could be the monk guy and nobody even knows who you are. Right. So, you could put the monk on, and then afterwards, you change, you go in the crowd, you're like, you were like a rock star, and nobody knows that you were the person underneath being the rock star. So I think that's another thing that appeals to a lot of people is they come out of their shell when sometimes they are play acting. A lot of introverts are great performers. So bring your introverts, bring anyone who is interested, and learn about this heritage while performing. I think that's great, and spreading the word. So okay, so one more time, we've got a Facebook page, we've got a website, right? You
Yes,
want to repeat
our
it
Facebook
again?
page. It's going to be. You can look us up at. We'll be called First Coast Lion Dance Troupe. That's the same moniker we have for Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And then, of course, we'll give you our email addresses too as well that we use for communications that we check every day. So,
well, I am going to link your site to my website, decisiondiaries.com, and then of course boost you guys on Instagram the best way that I can with I'm learning how to do these reels. I'm not a social media marketing genius, but I will do my best. And then I want to keep in touch with you and find out how you're doing on these projects with the city, because I think this is a great idea. I'd like to help support you in any way, and I'd like my listeners to really help support you move this along. You'd be kind of surprised that Jacksonville's a small town, right? So some of the people that I know and drink with are parts of the city. So so, and I will see them, around the 4th of July. So I may drop a couple of hints here and there, find some ways that I can help you guys in any ways that I can. So I'm so fortunate that I was walking around that night, and I was fortunate enough to catch and get part of this experience. I know that it was just a small. I only caught one of their performances. I know there's a lot more to it, but I mean, I'm so impressed. If you guys are only on a year, I am really, really impressed about how far you've come and how professional it looked like you guys had been doing it for years. It really did.
oh, thank you. Yeah, that means a lot. And hopefully what you saw will be just the beginning of what we can do. And the next time you see us, you just be continuously surprised by what we can do. And that's just what we try to strive for every time.
Each performance, we keep pushing it. Something new.
Yeah.
And I may offer myself as a substitute for the monk if that person ever calls in sick and you need somebody to perform.
100%. Come
look
join.
me up. Look me up. If I can survive inside an inflatable dinosaur, I think I might be able to
We
direct a
need backups
dragon.
upon backups upon backups. So, like, there's no such thing as not enough people. I think one of the questions you asked earlier was how many people we hope to get, and I say as many as we can get. If we can get a 500 person team, and we could just travel the city, that'd be awesome.
We'd love to be able to split up and multiple performances, different locations at the same time.
We want to have an excuse to buy more lions.
Yes. Yeah, I want to give you an excuse to buy more lions. I definitely do. I want to see all the colored lions, and I would like to see.
So many colors.
There's any color scheme you can think of, they can make one for us. So we hope to get the full spectrum of lion, colors in our inventory. But then
a few light up ones
too. They have some of the light up at night with LEDs and other fancy
Yeah,
stuff. So
yeah. I want to see those as well. And of course, I'd like to see it with the full fireworks. And we all know Jacksonville loves its fireworks. So we've got plenty of fireworks around here. We just need to add more lions. That's what we need.
I think
one of more lions.
One of our goals is to get like a Jaguar colored lion.
We've
like the Jaguars team,
custom teal and gold
team.
Oh, that is a great idea. That is a great idea. Okay. All right. Well, we'll end on that. Let's work on getting a Jaguar lion. I want to thank you both for coming on so much. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Josh. And please, everyone go up to decisiondiaries.com. Check our Instagram. You'll be able to find them. We also want to encourage people to go out on Sunday. Sounds like you guys are around the Ed Austin area for those that are local. And such a pleasure hearing all about this. And I want to see what happens. Let's get that jaguar lion.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank
Thanks for
Thank
having
you
us.
so much for having us.
Decision Diaries.